Hello, I'm going to show you how to have a synced slider everyone can interact with. Here I already have set up a slider with a VRC UI shape script and put the slider navigation to none to not have it change by walking around. What I would like to control with this slider is this sphere's metallic value within its material. But you can of course hook this up to anything you'd like. First, I'll create a new Udon program asset. I'll name this synced shader slider, but you should pick a name that describes your purpose. Open Udon graph, create a new slider variable, and name it something like slider. Click the little arrow and set it to public. Create a new float variable, name it something like synced value. Make this one also public as well as synced. I recommend having both search on noodle drop and search on selected node on in the settings. We're going to create the event nodes we're going to be using. Create a undesterialization event, and then create 2 custom events. I'm going to name one new slider value, and it's going to be called from the slider when it has a new value. The second one I recommend you to name what you'd like it to do with the new slider value. So in my case, I'll name it update material. I'm also going to connect it up to a temporary flow node, such as a debug log, to have the compiler make it show up for when we're going to use it later. VRChat only allows the owner of the object to update any of the synced variables. So if we'd like to make a change, first we'll have to make sure we are the owner. So create a network set owner node and hook it up with the new slider value event. We will also need the local player to tell the script we want to become the owner. So search for networking, get local player, and connect it with the set owner node. Now we need to update the synced float value. Drag the slider variable onto the grid, grab and drop the slider output, and then search for get value and select UI slider get value. From the get value node, drag and drop its output, and then select set synced value. Hook up the set owner node from before into the set synced value node. Now we tell the script to send the changes to other players by using the Udon behavior request serialization node. Now let's create a Udon behavior send custom event node to call the event we actually want to trigger. From the request serialization node, connect up the send custom event and then select the event name from before in the drop-down menu. In my case, it was update material. And that is why we needed the debug log node so it shows up in the menu. Let's go to the undesterialization event. This is what remote players are going to run when they receive a new value. Drop in another instance of the slider variable, search for set value, and select UI slider.set value without notify. And this is important because if you're using regular set value, the slider will update and run the new slider value event and cause a feedback loop. We want to avoid that. Drop another instance of the synced float variable and connect it to the same node as the slider. Hook up the undesterialization event. Create another send custom event node, or duplicate the previous one with Ctrl D. Connect it up after the set value without notify node, and select your custom event name for the node we haven't yet used. Now with the last event, you can do whatever you want, so I won't go into too much detail as previous steps. But I'd like to change the metallic on the sphere's material. So I'll create a new material variable, name it something like sphere material, and make it public. Drop it in and look for set float, set the name value to metallic, and set the float value to another instance of synced value. If you're following this part as well, you cannot use the default material, you have to create a new one. Now we're all done here. Press the compile button, go back to the scene view, pick what object you want the script to be on. I'm going to pick the slider itself. Add a new Udon behavior component and drop the script in. Select the slider and drop it in the slider slot. I'm also going to select my sphere's material and drop it in to the material slot. Change the synchronization mode to manual, since we decide in the scripts if we want to send an update or not. Find the slider component and click the plus icon at the very bottom. Here you now drop in the Udon behavior component or the object that's holding it, in my case, the slider object. From the function list, hover over the Udon behavior and look for send custom event parentheses string. You can find this easier by pressing S a few times. In the string field, we now put the name of the event we want to run when the slider has changed its value. If you forgot what you named it, you can open the Udon behavior back up to look. So I would like to call the event new slider value. Do note that this is case sensitive, so a copy and paste is usually the best idea. Everything should be up and working, and you just have to trust me on this because my computer is not strong enough to run 2 clients and record at the same time. So that's it. That's how you sync a slider between players using Udon Graph. And here's the code for all the Udon Sharp users out there. Subscribe, leave a like, comments, or whatever you want. Thanks for watching.